Hello, my name is Michael Purser, owner of the Rosebud Company in Atlanta, Georgia. This video is a summary of the restoration work that we did on the wood floors of Henry and Clara Ford's estate called Fairlane. It is in Dearborn, Michigan, and sits on the bank of the Rouge River. The house was built in 1915, and Henry and Clara Ford moved into it and stayed there until their respective deaths in 1947 and 1950. At that time, the house passed into the hands of Ford Motor Company, who held on to it for a few years. After that, it was passed on to the University of Michigan, the Dearborn campus. In 2010, Historic Ford Estates purchased Fairlane with the intent of restoring the old house back to its original grandeur. I got involved and made an on-site visit, and the purpose was to evaluate the wood floors and also to do testing. As you can see from the various shots, the floors were in a variety of iterations. There were areas that had been stained, others that hadn't been. There were various accumulations of finish, variations in color, and in some areas, this shot here in the living room, you get to see a variety or layers of finish in one room, several different layers. In Edsel Ford's dressing room, you get to see the outline where the floors, the herringbone pattern is the original floor, the surrounding floor is where the cabinets were set. In an upstairs hallway, you had a very dark tinted finish that had been placed over the original finish. And this creates issues because the hall itself was extremely dark. One of the neatest finds was the stairs, where we started seeing evidence of stair treads unlike any we'd ever seen. Much of the house and the floors had a lot accumulation of finish glazing to the point where it did not look natural. So I started doing my testing. I took specific areas, 14 all total throughout the 32,000 square foot mansion, and I tested it to make sure that the finishes could be taken off with the chemicals that I use. Satisfied with the results, we made plans to start work, and work did actually begin in the summer of 2016. Initially, we were focused on the downstairs area, and we wasted no time in going to our primary method of coatings removal, which is passive refinishing, a biodegradable and safe and environmentally responsible method of removing old coatings. We put the old coatings back into solution, and then we removed them, and in the process exposed a beautiful white oak quarter sawn herringbone floor. And as you can see, in some areas, it took longer to get the old coatings off because it reacted differently to the chemicals. But once they were off, there was the beautiful quarter sawn white oak, and no sanding was involved to get to this point. We also had repair work to be done. This is a step coming out of the living room going down in the music room that was badly damaged, the bottom step. My younger brother David Purser and Peter Island took responsibility for doing the repair work on it. And as you can see, they methodically cut and fit the tread and got it to the point where it could be put in place and it fit perfectly. Since this is a historic property, we decided to add our own little bit of history and sign the back of the tread before it was put in place. And as you can see, it's a perfect fit. Another repair job was on the landing, where an old elevator shaft had been placed to help the Fords get to the second floor in their old age. It was not original, so it had to be removed, and Peter went about the process of tearing out the angle iron that framed it in, and then David and Peter went about the process of reinstalling the herringbone pattern. It was a very difficult repair because it was the only location in the entire house where the floors, the herringbone patterns, merged at a 90-degree angle. But here's the results, and it's a stunning piece of craftsmanship. And this is what it looked like once we got the floors finished and the hardening oil applied. One of the interesting benefits of working around old property is to see photography of the people there. This is Henry Ford and his son Edsel. And here's Henry Ford with his very good friend Thomas Edison, who visited enough to have his own favorite bedroom. Once we were through with the coatings removal, we went about the process of applying the hardening oil. We relied on Magic Oil by Paulman, and it was buffed into the floors. Multiple applications were made, and as you can see, the results were very, very good. We were pleased with the look of the floor. We were pleased with how the finish went down, and the results were in keeping with the look of the floor at the time the Fords would have been there. I want to go back to that upstairs hallway that was so dark. Here it is after it had been lightened, and here are those steps that I was telling you about that really just took your breath away. The dining room turned out marvelously. You can see the alternating colors of the herringbone pattern. You get a close-up shot of the wood, and you can see the relief patterns of the grain were very, very attractive. And this is the benefit of passive refinishing. You're not flattening the surface out and creating an artificial look. Now, once we finished our work, we turned right around and protected the floors so that the other trades and artisans could go in there and set up and do their work and make sure that the floors were not damaged. The work there was great, and I also was able to renew an old friendship with Mark Hepner, a fellow I've known for many years. We started off together at another location in Ohio. We've completed all the restoration work on Fairlane. Hopefully the museum will be open in sometime around 2020, and I would strongly recommend, if you're in the area, by all means, stop in and see it. It's a masterpiece. Thank you for your time and your attention.